Assalamualaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Evening Forum for today. First of all, I would like to thank to all of the audience in front of me. Thank you very much for attending the forum for today. So let me introduce to all of you our panel for today. Our first panel is Mr. Muhammad Amir Afham bin Rozi. Our second panel is Miss Hurul Aina Suha binti Anwar. And our last panel is Mr. Muhammad Alif Ikhwan bin Muhammad Rizwan. Hope all of you was in pink of health. I am the moderator for today's forum. My name is Nur Afsanisa binti Zakaria. Our forum for today is about Masjid Kampung Laut. This historic mosque was originally located in Kampung Laut, Tumpat, near the riverbank, but was moved to Nilampuri because it was often flooded. This mosque is the oldest mosque in Malaysia and in Southeast Asia, which is believed to have been built in the 18th century. This mosque once survived two major flood disasters in 1926 and 1966, and also part of this mosque once burned. The construction of this mosque incorporates many elements of art and religious philosophy in its architectural form. This Masjid Kampung Laut has been used as the main focal point for worship by the residents and also as a place to gain knowledge related to Islam to the residents around Kampung Laut in the 19th century. Okay, so first I would like to ask our first respective panel, Miss Ain, why should we preserve Masjid Kampung Laut?
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hurul Aina Saha binti Anwar. Okay, thanks to the host for the questions. Okay, one of the reasons why we should preserve the monument is because it can be used as strong evidence to an era or historical event that has taken place. The meaning of monument according to the language board dictionary fourth edition is a building built to commemorate a person or an important event. In addition, history buildings are also very important for current and future generation because the existence of historic buildings to prove that the history of Malaysia recorded is something realistic and not just fiction. Myths and legends, like the Masjid Kampung Laut, which is the oldest mosque in Malaysia and Asia, which has been considered as one of the historic building and has a unique design and built with elements of archipelago architecture and the fineness of the carvings on the mosque. The mosque was built by missionaries who come from Java and with the skills and wisdom of Malay craftsmen who combine traditional arts with the best Islamic arts. This mosque has become a heritage that we must be preserved and also to be the pride of the people of Kelantan. That's all for me. I return it to the host.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ain, for your answer. Next, I would like to ask Mr. Alif, how are historical tourist attractions promoted in Malaysia? Can you tell us about this?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name Muhammad Ali Ikhwan bin Muhammad Ridwan. Okay, how are historical tourist attraction promote in Malaysia? Firstly, promote Malaysian culture heritage at home and abroad. Second way to promote culture heritage, organize various exhibition, prepare poster board, billboard, prepare and distribute pamphlets, product documents, organize culture festival, organize international young exchange programs, and hold a champion of the year to visit Malaysia. Okay, lastly, promoting culture heritage trust such as media ambassadors. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Alif. For the next question, I want to ask Mr. Amir, what are the steps taken to protect this Masjid Kampung Laut?
Okay, thank you, Miss Afsa. I'm Muhammad Amir Afham Birazi. I will explain the step that can be taken to protect the place or monument. Historical heritage is very important for future generations. While history is a bit boring for some people, it is very important that we preserve that historical heritage. Effort to preserve historical heritage can be done by preserving and conserving materials or things related to history. Preservation and conservation of historical heritage is very important because through this method, historical heritage will be able to preserve it and use as teaching materials for future generation if they strive to understand and deepen history. There are several measures to protect this mass. Among them is the role of the government, which needs to act to get recognition from international organizations such as UNESCO to recognize this Masjid Kampung Laut as a World Heritage Site with such to take care of the place such as budget allocation to preserve the building, encouragement from the private sector, and also volunteer from school and universities. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Amir. And the next question is for Ms. Ain. What are the agencies involved in heritage preservation in Malaysia?
Okay, thanks again to the host for questions. Okay, the agents involved in heritage is the Majlis Pembangunan Wilayah Ekonomi Pantai Timur with Corporation Kelantan State Government and Persatuan Sejarah Malaysia Museum Negara has implement a heritage conservation project to restore the 400 years old Masjid Kampung Laut by moving it to its original place, which is in Kampung Laut, Tumpat, Kelantan. The previous one was located in Nilampuri, Kota Baru, Kelantan. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for answering. And the next question is for Mr. Alif. Why is it important to protect archaeological sites?
Okay, thank you. Why is it important to protect archaeology site? Because Kapon Laut Heritage and Masjid Kapon Laut have the potential to be dominated as national heritage site because they have their own uniques. The ministry support effort to nominate the Kapon Laut Heritage Site as a national heritage site and the Kapon Laut and Masjid Kapon Laut as a heritage object. In addition to having great potential to be recognized as a World Heritage Site under UNESCO, both meet the nomination criteria, namely the location of a unique culture, traditional, and example of a exceptional architecture. The first important is the historic building and monument can provide example and lesson to the community, especially to teenagers who have a weak spirit of patriotism. Patriotism. Next, furthermore, in the term of of tourings, historical building and monument are able to attract tourists. both local tourists and tourists from abroad visiting the country. This breeding is also a dominant factor for tourists traveling in the country. Historic building to the need to be demolished but need to be preserved and renovated. For example, our old building should be renovated to become museum, art galleries, and tourist center. Lastly, historic buildings are very important in shaping the minds of the young generation in this country, especially towards the appreciation of the heritage and treasure of this country. Historic buildings and monuments are assets that should be preserved and inherited from one generation to another. With the presence of historic buildings, the new generation will be more appreciative and sensitive to the historical development of the country. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alif, for the answer. And the last question for this forum is how do we educate our children on heritage preservation? If you don't mind, can you answer it, Mr. Amin?
Okay, thank you, Miss Abza. Parents are the individuals responsible for educating their children. There are several ways for us to educate our children about heritage preservation to attract interest and cultivate a love of national history. Among them is to always take them to visit historical places or take them to place that whole historical heritage art campaign in conjunction with History Day, and can even take them to a national museum. Parents can also buy books related to the art of the country historical heritage and tell about the monuments that exist in the country to their children. Indirectly, their children will be born with curiosity and affection for their country heritage. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Amin. In conclusion, Masjid Kampung Lau is the oldest mosque built in Kelantan, Malaysia. This mosque has its own uniqueness, and the special feature is that it was built using a very unique technique without using any nails. This Masjid Kampung Lau is an attraction to researchers and visitors because of its design, which is different from most in Malaysia. Finally, it's appropriate for us as Malaysians to protect and care in order to preserve the heritage art that exists as the Masjid Kampung Laut. So that's all our forum for today. Thank you.